Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. My guests are Broadway's latest, Satine and Christian, in the Tony Award-winning Best Musical, Moulin Rouge. You know her from Jekyll and Hyde and American Idiot, and from singing with the likes of Bono and U2, Melissa Etheridge, and Carly Rae Jepsen. And you know him from such musicals as Carrie, Dogfight, Anastasia, and his Tony Award nominated turn in Jagged Little Pill. Please say hello to Ashley Loren and Derek Klena.
Hi.
Hello, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I wanted to talk to the two of you, so I'm so happy to be doing it and chatting through Zoom with the both of you. First of all, how are the two of you? Ashley, I'll start with you.
I'm great. It is a joy to do the show with Derek. I think there's a lot of stuff happening in our world and within our theaters that is tricky these days, but we are finding the joy in bringing theater to you still after such a long time of not being able to do so. So I think there's a lot of gratitude in it for us.
Yeah,
Derek, for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been such a welcoming experience for me coming into this show. It's such a warm show. The audiences that come are so excited. So that's such a rare experience to get a show that has had so many accolades, and also this amazing representation and amazing presence on Broadway with the kind of audiences that you're getting. So it's been like a dream come true, and to assume the massive shoes of Aaron Tveit that he left behind has been a huge privilege and an opportunity. And it's been amazing to explore this experience with Ashley as well and kind of settle into the show. It's been awesome.
Yeah, because I've seen these beautiful Instagram pictures of both of you, like outside the theater, you know, in front of those beautiful posters of both of you. What's it been like sharing the stage together? I mean, Ashley, you've had a few Christians, you know, you've had some other Christians. So what's it been like working with Derek now?
We talk about this all the time. It just brings I mean, everyone's different, right? I have Aaron Tveit, incredible. His understudies, Dylan and Aaron Finley, also incredible. I mean, that's the joy of doing theater for me, is the fact that like everybody is different and everybody brings their own something to a role and then to the show. And Derek's energy is so wonderful, both on and off stage, that it's been truly such a joy. And we giggle nonstop on stage. It's truly just like the most fun. And we're really lucky to have him.
Oh, thanks, Ash.
It's true.
Well, that's really nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Derek, for you sharing the stage with Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same experience. Yesterday, we were both like trying to hold ourselves together with something that happened on stage. And I think the fact that we're in this constant like positive energy and positive space on stage and off is huge, especially when you're dealing with a company, you know, with 25, 30 people. I mean, that camaraderie, that connection is really important. And I feel like the building's been in a really good place, and it's been really exciting to explore this role with all these amazing people. And because of the events, the reemergence of COVID over the past, month or two, I've actually gotten to do the show with so many members of the company, which for me has been really exciting, because rarely, when everybody's healthy and the show's going and it's good, your principal track and your set ensemble are usually on most of the time. So during this time of flux and watching our swings and understudies just be champions and heroes and save our entire community, honestly. It's been so fun to share the stage and get to do the shows with so many different people and different takes on the characters. So that's been really exciting for me to experience right off the bat. And it's so rare, but I'll find the bright spot in that for sure.
Yeah. Because I've been going back to all these shows, and it's so great to see like, oh, now I get to see these new people take on these roles or whatever else. It's been so wonderful, and companies are so welcoming, and everything is so fresh and alive. And, the theater has pulled it all together. I mean, shows are going on and audiences are coming and loving it, but the swings and understudies are taking on these, these other roles, and everyone's having the time of their life in the theater.
Yeah. And second that, and to also give Ashley credit where credit is due. She is has been my rock on stage and kind of like taking me under her wing, and we've gotten to be such good friends so quickly. So having that trust and that chemistry. And recently, like, people ask me, like, what makes good chemistry? And I never really thought about it until I was asked the question, because I've been really lucky to work with some amazing co-stars and people on stage with me over the past, 5-10 years. But that chemistry comes down to trust and respect. And I think those two things we kind of established for each other mutually right off the bat. And then once that was established, we're able to have fun and layer that into the chemistry as well. So it's been a huge rewarding experience. I'm so lucky and privileged to get to share the stage with Ashley every night, who's just like crazy talented and amazing in the show. And so people go nuts over Ashley.
You too, sir.
Well, I mean, your entrance is pretty epic. The Satine entrance is pretty epic, and
I'll give you that.
And no, it's been a privilege to watch every night and share the stage with you. You're amazing, and also an amazing company leader.
Oh, thank you. You as well, sir.
That is great. Well, Ashley, I want to talk to you. You have the longest history with Moulin Rouge. How did it all begin for you?
I have a very long history with Moulin Rouge. I wouldn't say it's the longest of the company members because I didn't do the Boston run or the workshops or the presentations. Moulin Rouge has been in the works for a very long time. But I did join the company as a standby for Satine originally in 2019 when we opened on Broadway. That eventually morphed into alternate with set shows weekly. And then that carried over post-pandemic, and here we are now. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you remember about your first performance on stage as Satine? Like being set up there and they're like, tonight's the night or today's the day. Like what do you remember?
I don't remember much. I do not remember much. It was not planned, not expected. I've spoken on this before, but I had never rehearsed or done the show with any of the principals on stage or the full ensemble. It was a 2-show day, so I don't remember the matinee whatsoever. I remember bits and pieces of the evening show. But I mean, I knew early enough in the morning that I was able to get some friends there to support and just be like, we're here for you, girl, as you come from the ceiling. But we're really lucky. We have a wonderful stage management team and a wonderful creative team and associate team that makes sure that everyone is ready to go on. But at that time, I remember I was being called in for like separate quick change rehearsals just to sort of put it all together at the time. But this is sort of the magic and the beauty of theater. And we're like, as to what Derek was saying earlier, we're seeing a lot of that now, especially in these times of the pandemic. And our offstage company members are sort of given the least amount of notice to sort of figure out new tracks they've never been on for. And it's really a testament to the people that are cast in our shows and the talent that everyone has that exists in this industry, people in shows and not in shows, just like the brain capacity of artists and creators to be able to just on a moment's notice, do something beautiful and work as a team. And it's in those moments when you realize that Broadway, you're reminded, if we've forgotten, that Broadway is such an incredible team sport and that there is not one singular person that is not carrying the show at a certain point in time. And it's really beautiful. Those moments are some of my favorites. And I was lucky that I felt so incredibly supported by the people that I was on stage with at that time, that it was kind of like, okay, here we go. Like you have to have a certain sense of trust and you have to just trust in the swing, trust in the set, trust in the crew, and trust in the people that you're sharing the stage with to make something really beautiful when for the first time, like maybe you've never done it before, but hey, that's the beauty of art and creativity to me, is that those moments.
Do you remember being loaded onto the swing and being put up there or anything about that first day?
I mean, I remember the nerves. I mean, because I think I was talking to Derek about this the other day. I not really do well with heights. I didn't do well with heights, but through my journey with Moulin Rouge, I have gotten better at it. And now I'm like, okay, so I'll look down at the audience. I'll like assess the thing because Satine is up there preset for a while for safety reasons. And that swing is so safe. There's been moments to remind me just how safe it is, how many things are put into place that, you know, you won't fall off. If anything malfunctions, there's like 18 things that keep you on there, keep you safe. So thank you to the programmers and the crew. But I remember just because you're also double corseted at that time. So like breathing is hard. I remember just being like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And that's as much as I remember of that day. It happened. The show didn't stop.
Yeah. That's some crazy stuff. Not only to be thrown on the first time, but then you're up there like, 30 minutes beforehand or whatever. And all this stuff is going through your head. Like I've spoken to the Glindas about this, like being up in that bubble beforehand. And you hear the audience and you're thinking of stuff like, what's my first line? And
do I know it? Yeah.
Derek, what do you remember about your first performance on as Christian?
This experience was wild for me because it was actually the put-in the Friday before that I felt like that nervous energy and the excitement of doing it for the first time with the full company and like trying on a lot of my costumes for the first time in real time. So that was wild of being like, oh, this is how this leather jacket, this 20-pound leather jacket feels that I'm about to do 30 minutes of high singing in. Great. So stuff like that is like really informative. And so I learned a lot during the put-in. And then we had like 3 days to basically decompress, which was kind of amazing and such a privilege to this experience is that we got to tech some new things for the show. We got a little bit more on stage rehearsal. We had a full put in with full band, which is rare for people entering a show midway. So there were a lot of perks to this experience, and it made it so that my first public performance, I had this weird calm about me and more excitement about doing it. And I had some family and friends there, which was really exciting, and my team. And so I was really lucky that I was able to kind of settle into the role in that way. And that way, the first public performance, I was able to enjoy it and have fun rather than have it be that adrenaline roller coaster. I mean, it still was like an adrenaline roller coaster, but I was able to kind of be present, which was exciting and super fun. And then, and we did it. It's like Ash said, like once you make it through, you're kind of like, everyone's okay. The show happened. Nothing stopped. It's a successful night. I think that's all you can hope for when you're entering into a beast such as Moulin Rouge or a show like Wicked. You just kind of want to jump on and hold on for dear life and hope you don't fall off. And it all went well, and it's going well so far. So.
No, because I love that you used the word beast. These are such big roles. I mean, physically and vocally, the two of you never stop during this show. So how do you stay healthy? I mean, seriously, like vocally and everything else during these times, and just, to get through, 8 shows a week, because these are grueling performances and what you guys do, what you two do in this show. Ashley, I'll start with you.
Yes. It's actually been an interesting couple of months for me, because I actually missed almost a week of first rehearsals with Derek because I got COVID again. So I had it in 2020. I successfully evaded it in December, but it got me. And it's actually been a very informative journey for me in recovering while also still trying to perform, while alternating for Natalie at the time, and also trying to do rehearsals and perform the show in corsets as many times as I was needed. And now I'm currently doing 8 shows a week. So it's been very informative for me, because when I was recovering in 2020, I still have long COVID, but I didn't have to sing. I didn't have to sort of care for my body in the same way when we were just sort of, I was, hanging out with my cat. So it's been very interesting. For me, I started doing vocal massages with a woman named Christine, and she's incredible. And I try and do them weekly. They've been really helpful for me. I haven't had a time to go to the gym recently, but I'm hoping to start back up on that soon. That's really important as far as stamina is concerned, because the thing that it really is just nonstop. And the thing that gets us through the most is to have the stamina to do it. And that is emotional, physical, mental, and vocal stamina to sustain from beginning to end of the show, because it's also an emotional journey and it's super vocal heavy. And also, you have to climb stairs, you have to wear a heavy jacket. Like there's a lot of physical stuff involved. So I try and, eat well. I eat what my body tells me to eat. So if it said like last night, we did not eat very well, but we enjoyed ourselves. And today I feel fine because my body needed that at the time. So it's more understanding what your body needs. And I think that's something that as performers, it's integral for us. And I think we are so much more in tune to our bodies than a non-performer would be. So I think it's really listening to your body, what you need, what you don't need. Sleep is very important. And for vocal health, there's a ton of like tricks and tips and things that we do, like tinctures and teas and all the things that help, but mostly just taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional health.
Beautiful. Derek, for you.
Yeah, I mean, I second a lot of what Ashley just said, and I'm still figuring out how to maintain my health in this, which last week was my first full week in the show. And so figuring out what hurts, where it hurts, and what happens in the show that causes it to hurt, like is part of like where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And like in focusing on your posture on stage, which is something that I didn't, with every new experience and every new show, with each new like costume pieces that you wear, you learn a little bit about your unconscious tendencies and how they can affect your performance and things that you're doing because of your surroundings or because of what you're wearing that you just have to keep in the back of your mind. Like for instance, during this, I'm learning very quickly that this big leather coat at the end of the show that is legit like 20 pounds and floor length, that one, I have to be careful how I walk. I have to be careful about my posture because during Roxanne, I tend to like really lean into like these heavier, like more rock heavy songs, lean in, but because my posture concaving like this, I'm not able to give the voice that I want to give. So I'm having to like really focus on really like keeping myself upright. So I'm not putting pressure where pressure shouldn't be. So things like that I'm kind of like figuring out about the show and learning about how to maintain, a level of performance that I'm happy with and that I feel comfortable with moving forward. And I think that's just part of the game. Is just like Ash said, like knowing your body, knowing what you need to succeed, eating right, getting sleep. Sleep's huge for me. Drinking lots of water. I mean, and another thing, right now I'm still in like the early show, losing weight every night. But like once I kind of settle into the show, we deplete so many electrolytes and so much water every performance. We probably burn easily a couple thousand calories of performance in this. And so just maintaining like eating what your body needs. If you need carbs, eat carbs. If you need protein, eat your protein. But like going back to the gym is going to be really important, because then once you lose the weight and what you need that muscle and that physical stamina to support your body in a way so that you keep from getting injured and all those other things. So it can be a vicious cycle, just knowing yourself, giving your body what it needs to perform at that level every night. It's a learning experience, but I'm getting there. And then there's the humidifiers, there's the teas, there's the electrolyte drinks, like all the things to help supplement that. We also have an amazing PT team on Moulin Rouge, which is incredible. They're there every day. And so that has been huge. And so whenever people have injuries or anything like that, or something's like pinching, like last week, like I had a spasm in my neck, so I was easily able to go up there and get it worked on. So that is definitely a Broadway perk that is pretty important in this type of show that we're really lucky to have. So kudos to the PT team.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, because it's actually very helpful, because I've gone to PT outside of the show, or acupuncture outside of the show. But to explain to someone who hasn't seen the show or doesn't know what it entails, it's like, yes, I'm in a double corset. I'm corseted. My mic pack is on my head, so it puts a little more weight at the wig and the thing. And it's like, I'm wearing a 20-pound coat. And they're kind of like, what do you mean? So it's really incredible to have someone, a team of people who are in-house every night, who get to see what you do in the show, that get to experience it in real time, know sort of what the stakes are at any given moment, and why maybe this part of you feels strange, even if you aren't connecting it. Well, they're like, oh, well, in that lift you did, or in that, you know what I mean? So just to have someone who's able to be so connected to the human and the body and also the show is really important. And it's a wonderful tool for Broadway.
It's funny, you all make it look so effortless when you see a Broadway show. And like, I've been going since I've been 9 years old. Everybody's, the curtain goes up and audiences scream and yell, like, oh my God, Derek's up there, Ashley's up there. You make it all seem so effortless. And I know it's not, because like you said, you're running around in 20-pound coats and you're wearing corsets and you're doing these lifts and everything else. And you're singing this incredible score that is nonstop and dancing up a storm. But, it's just so interesting what goes in behind the scenes before the audience gets to see you all do what, the magic you make 8 times a week. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. And the second what you said there, like there are still times in the theater, and like you, I've been going to professional theater since I was 2 years old. I mean, that was like I saw Beauty and the Beast, the national tour at the Schubert in LA when I was like 2 or 3 years old. So it runs deep. And like to this day, I'll still watch friends in Broadway shows and see them doing like these crazy roles. And it still is like kind of a pinch me moment for myself, being like, I do that, but how do I do that? Like, how do we get up on stage and do that? Because watching it, it seems so unattainable. But then once you're kind of in the experience and you kind of like learn the pieces and you get it in your body, that's the goal, is to get to a place where you don't have to think about it anymore. And you just do it. And luckily this experience, the creative team and the support that we have on the show has been incredible, and the cast there with you, that it makes it super fun to deliver that every night. And, despite the physicality of it and how depleted we feel, it's the camaraderie, it's the friendships, and it's getting to play make-believe for a living every night that kind of is the dream come true, and what makes you that much more committed to delivering that, 100% performance every night. And so that also helps, is that we're living the dream. We get to do what we wanted to do. And it's pretty awesome.
Because every show is different. Like you said, every show is different. Like you said, oh, this is how I have to take care of myself for this show. And I'm sure what you did on Jagged Little Pill is different than how you have to handle yourself in Moulin Rouge. And I'm sorry, Ashley, with you, with Jekyll and Hyde, or being on the road in some other show, each show is different of how you maintain yourself, right?
Totally.
Yeah, I just never thought about that till today. It was just a weird thing, but I'm like, oh, I've seen you all in different shows, but I'm sure you go into these things like, Derek, this is, the end of your first week, and you're still finding your way in of, your comfortable zone to put yourself in for this run.
Yeah, it takes, I would say it takes upwards of a couple months or 100 performances to really figure it out. I think that's kind of like what most Broadway people feel, is that once you get 100 performances in and you don't have to think about it anymore, and then you're into a routine, if you're lucky to have that privilege of getting those 100 performances, then you're kind of like, okay, I can set it and forget it. And I've figured out the show. I've seen enough audiences at this point to know what this is, to feel comfortable in doing it. So it does take a while, and I'm looking forward to eventually getting to that point, but it's going to be a bit of a process, and little things that pop up here and here, and different audience members and different experiences. So it's all a part of the ride, but it's pretty fun.
Did you both get to work with your brilliant director, Alex Timbers, during your process of being put into the show, or did you get to both work together with him when Derek went in?
Yeah, we did. It was actually incredible for me, because my original journey with learning the show was completely different from what learning the show has become now, which I am so grateful that we have such an incredible associate team that has, Moulin Rouge is also, we're so privileged to be able to be a part of a show that is also around the world, and they have set this show around the world. And we have learned what works, what doesn't work, how to teach, all those things. And that's an immense privilege. And we're so lucky that, I missed the first week of our rehearsals together, but for the following few weeks, we were so lucky. We had Maddie DiCarlo, who's an amazing associate director. And also, Alex was there, and and Justin Levine was there. And we had these creatives here because we were setting a handful of new principals at the time. So we were really lucky, and I'm so grateful to have that experience too, because we were able to create something that was unique to us, I think, in a way. Do you agree? What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, second everything. Hearing it from the original creative team, hearing the intent behind every decision made in the show. Yeah. Frankly, because between our two characters, we pretty much touch on a lot of the material in the show. And so hearing and we kind of sat down, we had this table work, before we really got on our feet, we had a couple hours with Alex and Maddie, basically talking about the world of the show, the time period of the show, these two characters, where they just came from, how they ended up here, why they love each other, what makes this relationship different than relationships in the past. So establishing that all off the bat and having that discussion with the original creative team there is invaluable. And it gives us so much information to then take the information we've been given and make it our own, which they gave us the platform to do, which was also a really exciting thing that you don't often get. And so I think entering this experience early enough in its Broadway life, and getting to explore these new options with fresh eyes and getting the freedom to do that on my part has been very rewarding and a privilege. And getting to work with Alex in that capacity, I've auditioned for him in the past, and we've ran into each other. We know each other by acquaintance, but this was the first time that I actually got to work with him and hear his brilliant mind work and the way he views art. And he's just so brilliant. The pictures he creates are so magical and beautiful in the show. So to hear those initial intents and have that knowledge going into the scene work was just invaluable. And
I mean, I've been a part of the show for a long time, and I learned so much myself as well. So that's really a testament to Alex and Maddie and everyone involved in our process, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, also love that he lets you bring your own, like you said, Derek, this doesn't always happen. Someone's like, oh no, you're a replacement. This is the role. This is the cookie cutter role you have to play. But Alex is not like that. I've spoken to many people who've worked with him at other shows that people have gone in. He's like, no, you make Christian your own. You make Satine your own. I mean, and it doesn't always happen all the time, but that's what makes it extra special, I'm sure, for each of you.
Yeah, there are like timing moments for sure, because he's so good at like farcical comedy. So like there are definitely moments in the show where like you have to hit, and there's a sound cue on this thing, and there's a lighting cue that happens, and there's a ping here, so you have to make sure you're on this mark. And like so, technically you have to play within the confines of like this you cut. It's a paint by numbers sort of thing. You can use whatever paintbrush you want or whatever color you want, but you still have to stay in the lines, and you still have to like make the picture.
Yeah.
So that structure remains. But yeah, I mean, he also, which another was a cool thing, is he asked, whether I wanted to watch the show or not, and at what point during the process I wanted to watch the show. I had seen the production pre-pandemic with Aaron and Karen and Danny and the cast then, and so I remembered bits and pieces about the structure of the show, and of course listening to the album I was able to kind of wrap my head around the flow of it. But I think that was another cool thing, is they kind of let me see the show whenever I wanted to see the show, and to trail Aaron whenever I wanted and felt comfortable trailing Aaron, which allowed me to kind of bring, my own flavor to it without having the influence of that. So, which is also rare. I mean, there are some times where they're like, yeah, we'd like you to see the show just so you know exactly what we're kind of going for. But in this case, they were like, no, like in your time, like whenever you want to see it, you can, for whatever you need. If you don't want to watch it at all, like that's totally okay as well. And so having that freedom and confidence in me, it also like gave me a lot of confidence, because having their confidence in me, therefore gave me confidence in myself, which was cool.
Yeah, because like Ashley, your Satine is so different from all the other Satines I've seen. So it's so interesting that you're allowed to do that too, like live in the structure of the show, but make her your own.
Totally. It's a huge blessing. And I think this time around, I've really been able to allow myself, because there's a certain amount of constraints that are there when you want to make something your own, but it's a pre-existing cast. They have their specific show. And again, Derek was saying earlier that we got the amazing opportunity to retech some things and change some things. We changed some blocking. There's some like differences in this version, this reincarnation of that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. That there was a moment when I was alternating for Natalie and doing a different show that day than what we were going to start doing on May 10th. So like, I think it's always been a goal to bring a little of myself to it, but there is also something that has to be done to maintain the intention of a show that's already established when you're the person just going in, to fill in. But this time around, I'm also really grateful that I've been able to actually allow myself, and the creatives have also allowed me to dive even further into the Satine that I am and want to be. So I'm so grateful, so grateful. And it's been fun to play around and find new things with Derek too, and Declan, and Eric. I mean, truly everyone is bringing something. It was a wonderful opportunity to breathe fresh air into something and do it differently because we could.
You're interested.
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Derek, you go.
Declan did something the other night that like jarred us all. Like the way he exited the scene, we were like, wait, what
are you doing? It was amazing.
But we all like lost our mind. But like that's the stuff that's the beauty of it, is Declan's still finding this character too and doing like this spontaneous goofy stuff. And I mean that's why it's so much fun, and we're all there kind of rolling with the punches. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, there's nothing like live theater. We all remember, you know, what it was like seeing something live for the first time. That curtain went up and you were like, oh my God, this is not a movie. This is not TV. These people do this right in front of you. And it's life-changing for all of us to go into the arts. And I think, Derek, was Beauty and the Beast the first show you saw that changed everything for you?
I think so. I mean, I was so young, but I remember, I mean, that kind of sparked my love for music, like that Beauty and Beast experience. I was also a huge fan of like Hercules and Hunchback of Notre Dame. And so I was singing like the entire opening to Hunchback of Notre Dame at 4 years old on our fireplace, like stoop thing. What?
We need video.
It exists. And once
I'm going to talk to your mom. I'm going to talk to your mom about that.
But yeah, no, so I had the love for music really early on, and got involved in children's theater when I was 6 years old. And so it was always a part of my life, but it was mainly music first. But yeah, shout out to Susan Egan. She gave me my love for theater. She's brilliant.
Ashley, where did yours come from, that defining moment? You were like, oh my God, I want to live in this world.
It's interesting. I grew up in New Jersey. So we were not too far from New York. I remember my first Broadway show was Cats. And I remember I was sitting on the aisle and they were crawling through the aisles. And I was like, what is this? I was probably 4 or 5, I'm not sure. But I was actually like a sick child. So music became my outlet for everything. I started doing community theater when I was 6 as well. I was Ariel in The Little Mermaid. And I sort of found the joy at that time for me was to be on stage and pretend to be someone that I wasn't. It was like an escape for me. And so since then I caught the bug, and we would commute to the city, and through my journey, you know, through elementary school and middle school, we would see shows. I remember seeing actually Jekyll and Hyde with Linda Eder. And I remember seeing that and turning to my parents and saying, well, that's what I want to do, like that. So it was a full circle moment for me to have Jekyll and Hyde be my Broadway debut. So that was the show and it's interesting because I'm also playing a prostitute in this show, but like who belts her face off. So I guess I have a brand. But yeah, it's music and also music. I mean, I write, I record, I release music. I have an album that I'm hoping to release shortly. But music for me too, it was always about the music. And I think that's what's so wonderful about Moulin Rouge, is that we get to live in a world where it is such a music heavy show with so many different songs from so many different genres. And the audience loves it because it's that whole, I know this song, I'm familiar with this. It brings and evokes so many different emotions and experiences and journeys that the individual in the audience has gone through, and also for us on stage. So it's really wonderful that we're in a show that we know the songs have meaning for us in other ways, and we get to come on stage and like have fun with all of these incredible, iconic pieces of music. So it really feeds the music person in me, and also the theater bug.
Because I'm sure, Derek, for you, it's got to be like a Broadway rock concert. You start to sing those songs as this rock star in this 20-pound coat. And everyone,
yeah. No, I mean, over the past 2 shows I've gotten to do, I've definitely reaped the benefit of rocking on Broadway, you know, with the Jagged Little Pill and now Moulin Rouge. I think with Moulin Rouge specifically, it's so brilliantly orchestrated, and all of these songs are so brilliantly constructed by Justin and the team, because of the show at its core has all these very classic theater elements, and dealing with its time period and the way that we talk and the places that our show goes to, but then having this very contemporary music driven, basically like principal character within the show that's also guiding us through this story. I was just really, really creatively woven in there. So that's super fun to explore every night. And yeah, I mean, this show, I learned very quickly, is going to be one of the more physical things I'm ever going to have to do, but also one of the most fun. Like I knew going into it, I was like, my body's always going to hurt. I'm always going to be pretty tired, but I'm always going to have fun doing this show because of the people you're with and because of the material. And, you know, when it's that fun, you don't care how you feel. You just want to go on stage and perform every night, and to have the audiences that we have too, and how they're reacting to the experience and the roller coaster of the show has been really cool to see as well.
You both bring so much joy to so many people. Like you said, the live theater is back. I mean, everyone's flocking to the theaters again as quick as they possibly can get there and as safe as they can get there, whatever. You know, you have so much to be thankful for, the both of you. Derek, you're about to become a dad. I just have to ask you, I run into you all the time and I'm like, yeah. What goes through your mind when you have free time at home? You're like, you know, do we go through names? Do we do this? Are we redoing a room? Are we painting stuff? Are we picking out, are you and your wife picking out stuff? Like, it's got to be so cool to have that other part of your life.
Yeah. Currently, I'm currently like in our like office space that will soon be nursery space. I'll show you up there. Like, this is what our lives turning into now. So it's like little whales and like little like rugs, and there's like a pile of baby things over there. So now we like last week we did like the reorganization of the apartment, like our spring clean, like where are we going to put our things, throw away our things. It's because we're having a person, which is just crazy, coming into our world in the next like 4 months, which is wild. So we're kind of at that stage right now of wrapping our head around like the things we need, starting to get some baby supplies, all of those things. But it's really exciting, and it's just been amazing to watch my wife grow a human being, which is just like the most crazy experience that you don't necessarily take for granted, but doesn't hit you in that personal way while watching other people experience it. So she's been such a champion through this experience, and we're really, really excited for parenthood. We've been lucky to be aunts and uncles to our friends' kids over the pandemic, and so we're excited to start our own family. Okay, so your self-tape room, your office, is going to disappear soon. You'll be doing self-tapes in the closet, right? Well, luckily, I mean, the baby will be small enough that we can transport them into the bedroom and all the other things, and so maybe I'll have my self-tape wall for like a few more months. We'll see. I'm glad, knock on wood, I'm happy to be employed currently, so not a whole lot of auditioning happening. But yeah, no, we're leaving the painted wall. We went with the color scheme that'll match the color of the room currently, which is working out well for my self-tape wall. So it shall live another day.
Well, congratulations. My final question for both of you is, if you could sum up the best part of the experience of being a part of Moulin Rouge, what is it for both of you? Ashley, I'm going to start with you because you've been with the show the longest.
Oh my gosh.
Or whatever, anybody, you could all jump in, but
the subtle question.
Yeah, wait, can you repeat the question? The best part of Moulin Rouge. The joy that we are able to give the audience, the escape that we're able to give the audience, because this show is just such a spectacle and so emotive and familiar enough to some because of the movie and new to some for so many reasons, that I think, especially in this time, when I think of doing Moulin Rouge in this specific moment in time, it really is an escape because it's fun and full of joy. You enter the theater and it is fully decorated. From the minute you enter the theater, there is like a custom smell that is in the lobby that we have, that was created by our producers to sort of evoke this escape and this fun and this journey where you can actually set aside the things you want to set aside for a few hours of your night or day and come and just live in the Moulin Rouge with us. And I think there's just so much going on in our world, in our country, and with the pandemic, and we've lost so much and we've gained a lot of perspective. And I think it's beautiful to be a part of a show that people can go to and just smile and laugh and sing along and clap along. You don't have to be silent in our audience. We fully enjoy it when you're like, hooting and hollering and with us. So I think it's really special to be a part of Moulin Rouge in this moment in time because of the joy that it brings, the party that it brings to the audience, and how that makes us feel and the audience feel.
Beautiful. Derek.
Ditto everything Ashley said. I think right now, with everything that's happening in the world and in our country specifically, and some troubling recent events, it's nice to offer such a positive escape for our audiences immediately when they enter the building. Like Ashley said, they're transported, and our creative team and our design team did such a brilliant job of building the show into the space. So it's one of the most beautiful sets I've ever seen. And then also, like, to add on to that, because of all those elements, because of the joy that the show brings, there's an energy to the building and an energy to the show that's reciprocated through the audience that is unlike like almost any other show I've ever done. Where, you know, a lot of shows you have to muster up, and like when you get like hundreds of shows into a run, there are days where you're just so depleted and you're like, wow, this seems like an uphill battle today. Like I need to muster the strength from somewhere to propel me through this show. But with this experience, it's so kinetic. The energy is amazing that when you enter the stage, it kind of fills you to a degree. And once you're on the ride, you can't really fall off it because of that energy. And it's like hard to explain. So the light is shifting all around me. But you know, it's crazy. Like once you're in, all of a sudden you're like refilled. I don't know what it is about this show, whether it's I just have so much fun doing it, or it's the people I'm with, or the type of audiences that we get, or this beautiful space that we get to escape into every night. But whatever that is, it's so satisfying. It's so filling for all parties, and to get that, to share that energy with the audience is why we do theater. It's a two-way street. It's that they are our scene partner in a lot of these scenes, and so having that energy and that connection without us having to do anything is such a gift, and it's something that I haven't experienced in a long time, and why I'll never get sick of doing it.